Hi there, I'm Construction Gamer. In today's episode of Midlands to London, we're going to be returning back up to the wonderful city of Birmingham to build the cross-city line. We're going to be starting at Lichfield, Trent Valley, working our way down. I think in this episode we're going to build Lichfield City, and what else we're going to build? Sutton Coldfield. I'm not sure quite how many stations we're going to build on the cross-city line just yet, but they're going to be kind of the first two starting points from the eastern section of the city, I guess you'd call it. So over toward Lichfield over here, and then we worm our way down towards the city of Birmingham here, and obviously into New Street, and then we eventually come out the back of New Street and head down towards Redditch and Bromsgrove. Yes. In the last episode we just did a little bit of detailing. I should have mentioned in the last episode actually that, well, I'm not sure, I haven't uploaded it yet, it's a bit backwards, but a version of the save will either be on the Steam Workshop, which will be great, or it'll be in my Google Drive, but that will be as of last week's episode, if that makes sense. I'm trying to record a few episodes together just because I'm a bit behind with my recordings now after the little bit of a mishap a few weeks ago. So what have we got going on here? Luckily, I've done a lot of painting. I did this probably months ago now, actually, trying to get everything to work. So Lichfield has now moved. I've done that off camera because I had to move that because the run from Burton upon Trent into the city just was over here, and it just wasn't right at all, especially with the line that comes down to Tamworth and the Burton upon Trent to not to Leicester, but it comes down here just south of Leicester, just to try and get that to work. So I've rebuilt Lichfield, that should be Lichfield Trent Valley, and I'll just call that high level, and then this one just wants to be Lichfield Trent Valley. Actually, I'll just call it TV. It's just, yeah, it's getting a bit too much. Lichfield Trent Valley, and then you've got the high level station there, which is all hooked up nicely. So first things first, a station, just not particularly, I think, yeah, about here. Can I delete a little, maybe that much? Yeah, we are in 2011. I don't think the line is electrified yet, but I think I might just leave it electrified for now. I know parts of the cross-city line were already electrified, but I can't remember quite which bits were and when they were electrified, but I will do the research for that when it becomes important. I think we'll just chuck in a building, not sure what, maybe should we go with the old, perhaps 120, and we'll just chuck that in. Actually no, we won't chuck it in anywhere, we will place it precisely in about there. Let's just take a look. High speed track with catenary, yes. Just because I don't really, even if the line's not electrified in 2011, I don't want to be messing around with electrification later on because it can become a pain. So we'll electrify it now. We'll chuck in the station, maybe on a little bit of a curve. I think Lichfield City is very slightly curved, but obviously we haven't got curved stations on this. Not particularly interesting station by any means. It's just an island station, island platform. Do I want two platform faces? Is it going to be that busy? Can't see it being that busy, so we'll just chuck in the track there, and then we just want a little bit of King's Crossness. Right, so first of all we want platforms. We want an invisible platform, and then we want to go back to King's Cross, and then we want to chuck in an actual platform alongside, and then it appears to me to be a subway connecting the two, which I think that's connected. Should be. Didn't appear. It hasn't created a subway connection though, has it? It might have done. There's something there, there's a gap in it. Yeah, not entirely sure about that, to be honest. I mean, it's all saying it's all linked together. I just don't like the fact that there's a bit of a gap. We'll just see what it does once we try and get it up and running. Right, bit of track now. Get this connected up. Maybe if I just delete a little bit more. Maybe if I just delete that one. That appears to be lined up all right, actually. So that one straight into there, and then yeah, that one straight into there to about there, and then we'll just bring that in. I mean, the trains aren't going to be going very fast, are they, between Lichfield, Trent Valley and Lichfield City, so it's not the end of the world really. Right, next thing is, can I get a little bit of a road in here? One bit of road, that should be low enough for a track. Let's try and put one in, and let's just take a look at the map actually. Yeah, that should be alright. Let's just make sure that's to about there, and then raise it. Not raise it, I just want it to be flat. Actually, that's miles too low actually. What sort of bridge? It's just going to be a girder bridge, isn't it? Now the only issue here is this little bit. So I want 2 bridges because I want this to be quite accurate, and then I want another. I'm gonna have to hold shift, bring that in, and then just put a girded bridge in. Let's just see though, because it is on a very slight curve and it has, yeah, it's distorted it. That's what I thought it was going to do. That's annoying. How am I going to do this? Not entirely sure. Right, so we want a little tiny curve on the flat. Let's just, might have to do all this by eye. So you're on the flat with a tiny curve, and then just straight. The only problem with that, right, okay, get rid of you. Nope, I don't want to get rid of that one. Right, we'll do this. Nope. Alright then. Bit of road, bridge. No. Alright then. Bit of road and then a bridge. Should be relatively straightforward. Right, so you're heading in that direction on the flat, please. Is that flat-ish? Girder bridge. Is that that looks really wonky. Or is it just, let's come down. No, I mean it does look flat. That looks alright. So we've got a straight bit of bridge there, and then track coming off, start to go down as quickly as you can. Actually no, it wants to got to curve that way on an embankment, right, and then can I just put in a straight bridge across here without it? Let's see what that does actually. Just don't, yeah, we have got, as soon as these girder bridges begin to try and curve, they do start to distort quite a lot, but I think, let's just check. A little bit of glitching going on there. No, I don't like it at all. Right, this curve here is probably a little bit too much, so let's try that again. So little tiny bit, maybe if you use the speed as a guide, and then come round here and just see like something like that perhaps. Right, and then let's get that straight across there. Just want it to be perfectly straight, and then I want it to be flat like that. Let's try that again. Yeah, so the station itself's not very complicated, but this trying to get this accurate is turning out to be quite complicated. And that's perfect. That's not snapping. I know that bit isn't quite right, but let's just see now if I can just get that running alongside. Again, not really concerned about how fast it is, to be honest. Just want to get on. There's a nice little overlap, there's no breakage, it's all perfectly straight. I think I'll take that actually. Yeah, I'm going to is that going up a little bit? Is it? It does appear to be. Let's see if we can put this track back in. Doesn't really need to hump in it, does it, to be honest? Let's put this bit of track in first on the curve. See what that looks like. Has that got a hump? No. And then put this bit of track running alongside until just about the apex of the curve, and then straight into there like so. Yeah, happy with that. And then there is a switch as well, isn't there? Just on the curve. Doesn't really need the switch, to be honest, but we'll put it in anyway. And then that's all good. Happy days. Right. So next thing is we've got a bit of a run down. Probably made that curve a little bit too much. Too curve. No, not curve. The downward bit. That bit. I think what I want to do is delete all this again, right, and then curve this, and I'm going to keep it on an embankment all the way around. Get that into there, and then again just on the apex, and then straight into there like so. So where is Sutton Coldfield going? Here, so that's, don't need to worry about that just yet. Where are we? So M6 toll, putting the M6, well, I'm not putting the motorway in. Like I always say, I'm not building motorways on this because it is a faff, but I am building roads which would be in the same sort of place as the motorway. So there's got the M6 toll there, and then you've got a junction running alongside it as well. Is that, yeah, that's running, that looks to be running in the right sort of direction. Is it? No, it's running massively in the wrong direction. I don't know how I'm going to fix that actually. Let's just return to open rail map. Right, so let's come in with the paintbrush. So let's go with the paint, we'll go with the surface. So the M6 toll wants to come to the west of Tamworth. That road, the secondary road I built, that kind of goes towards Tamworth. So we'll have that road and then that road, but maybe about here. They don't cross at such a oblique angle as that. Is oblique the right word? No, but it doesn't cross like that anyway. So what I think I'm going to have to do is delete all this track again. All of this. And that, I may as well get rid of it all. Right, so track from here will have really quite a sharp curve. Should be fast enough. I think 70 should be okay. And then we're going to have to do the same on it. Just bring it round just to where it passes the apex of the curve and then straight into there. Otherwise you get a little bit of weirdness going on. Right, so that's quite sharp. Let's run that down a little bit. And obviously, as I always say with this, like, because the map's not to scale and cities aren't quite in the right position, it does make things a little bit tricky. Which one was I going for here? This one, I think. So sometimes things aren't quite right, but I always just trying to aim for, you know, a rough facsimile. At least when you're on the actual train itself, it should feel as if you're on the real line almost. Right, so we'll put that that switch in there. Yeah, it should all work. I just want obviously the motorway to be pointing sort of in the right direction, so we'll have that down. Should be high enough, possibly not. We might have to come back to that. Right, and then motorway, or something representing a motorway anyway, about there. Right, and then we'll get rid of this track. Again, don't worry. Yeah, I'm just trying to get a guide of where things are actually going to lie. Is that going to let me build a bridge? No. Right, up one, up another one. No, that's far too high. Right, maybe bring this down a couple of bits. No. Yeah, it's really weird on this. Sometimes you can build like a really low bridge, and sometimes it's just not having it. I don't want to be snapping to the road. I just want to get as close as I can. Perfectly flat. Where's the track? It's over there. So we're going to have to be on a little bit of an angle to the road and to the toll, M6 toll, but not so much of a, so that's all fine. Right, so this is going to be a new bit of bridge, isn't it? Like brand spanking new. So we'll go with something like that one. Yeah, that looks quite modern. I would say steel against concrete, or a bridge like that, because it seems more and more that steel bridges are being used as opposed to concrete. So I think that probably does look a little bit more modern than the concrete one would, if that makes sense. So yeah, that'll work, I think. Yeah, happy with that. So that's all good. Now all we need to do is try and curve this in. 80, 50, oh, that's far too slow. Let's see what we can do with the curve. 60, 70, 70. Yeah, that should be fine. We should be able to work with that. And then if I get rid of all this track, maybe not all of the track, get rid of that switch anyway. And then can I just put that straight into there? Yeah, I think that works actually, because the curve coming out, well, the curve should almost be immediately on almost Lichfield Trent Valley, but obviously we can't have curved stations. We've done that little bit of whatchamacallit with that bridge as well, so I think that works, although we've got a little bit of separation going on there. Let's just put this back in bit by bit, just have a quick look by eye to where the switch would be. I'd like the switch, I'd like to get a train in between those two switches, and then we'll put a signal on here. That one, yes, one way. Just chuck a couple of signals on, then we'll have a signal running into the station, and then another one. Probably not really necessary, and then you've all got your signals on there, because obviously the train's going to be oh, that's fine, isn't it? Yeah, we've got the switch in the right place. So the train's going to be coming up on, I don't know if that's an up or down, going east-west. So well, eastbound trains coming in to that platform, terminating at Lichfield Trent Valley, and I'm coming down back towards heading westwards. So yeah, that's all right actually. That's all looking okay. Right, next get some more tracking. Again, this is going to have to be on a bit of a curve. Not to worry, that's all right. We'll keep it raised, and it should probably be a little bit curvaceous anyway. It's not all perfect runs. It is. We will actually do that. We'll put bits of curves in and stuff just to make it look a little bit interesting. We'll keep it raised just in case we need to do a road bridge, which it looks like we're going to have to. Yeah, things like the motorway I wanted to include just for a little bit of interest on the route, because obviously it could look a little bit boring, and there's a lot going on in this kind of between Wolverhampton, Lichfield, Walsall into Birmingham. It is really quite dense, and there's lots of roads and stuff like that going on, so I want to try and replicate that a little bit, and then we will have another road bridge. You've got a bridge in there, that's fine. I think I'm going to build Lichfield as well, which I will do in a minute when I finish configuring this station actually. Right, so passenger building. Yeah, I almost completely kind of ignored the station because it's not really that interesting. What does that look like? Possibly. I don't know if I'd just prefer to put, see, I didn't do that, did I, as well? So let's go to King's Cross. King's Cross, the roof, that one, old, a little bit of roof, and passenger build, no, elevated. Passenger building. Now I'd prefer to use something like that. That's a bit too big with the stupid roof on it, but the only issue with this is no way for passengers to get through those buildings, which is a little bit annoying. That's gotta, yeah, I mean, it's not the end of the world. I just want to try and get it a little bit accurate. Right, so we'll put in a little bit of road first of all. Don't really need to own that, I don't think, actually, because it's not particularly steep incline, is it? Actually, no, I might just take ownership of this little bit to there, set on that little bit, and then we'll get this station hooked up to it. So a little bit of a road bridge, no, not road bridge, a little bit of just road, and then just bring this down to meet that road there. I just like to get those bits connected up, and I think I might just run this down towards there like so. So that's hooked up to that. I will hook that up to something at some point, and that's all looking fine. I think this probably actually wants to be, no, I don't want to own it though, probably just a normal road. Probably, just leave that. Don't really want to spend a great deal of time on this. I just want to get some roads in place before I actually put the town in. Right, okie dokie, and we'll just go with a tiny town for Lichfield. Something like that anyway, just so we've got a town up towards this end. I know I said in previous episodes I don't want to add too many towns, but I think this adds something to this area. It certainly adds passengers to this area, so I think it's well worth adding in. Right, so let's get on and build our next station, which is actually quite interesting. Right, so pause the game, delete this road, and I think I actually will just get this connected up. I know having road connections isn't massively important, but at the same time it does add to town growth, so it is reasonably important to make sure you keep your road connections in place. So that's actually reasonably accurate-ish, that road, because that does seem to come off and then go towards Tamworth, whereas the M6 toll kind of swings to the west of Tamworth. Right, so get that connected up, and then this little bit of road. Yeah, if I'm going to build road bridges and stuff like that, we may as well actually put them to some use. So we'll get the west of Lichfield hooked up to that road, and then we'll just quickly just take ownership of those little bits. That's all connected up. I will own a bit like so. That's all fine. Then I'll own this little bit as well, just to stop the game upgrading or downgrading the road. Similarly with Tamworth, like so. Right, okie dokie. So the next bit is we do actually want to start going down a little. I just want to take a look at the map for this. Right, so Sutton Coldfield is reasonably complicated, so we want to drop the track down, gives us a bit of a starting point, and then we'll curve that in to about there-ish. No, yeah, no, we're a bit off track there. Right, so from about there we'll drop it down, no, not that high, low, drop it down into a bit of a cutting, and then have quite a sharp curve. 60 should be fine because it'll be coming into the station, and then same again, just bring that into there. And then we want a railway bridge crossing. What are you going to let us build? Just keep pressing shift and page up until it gives us the right height. Come on, maybe 2-bit, something like that. Right, so straight across there we've got this track here which wants to be a little bit of a girder bridge, maybe a little bit shorter though, shorter span. Girder bridge straight across. Is that going up in the air? It looks like it is. And then cross there like so, and then I guess I'm not sure, is this track electrified? That's a good point. I might have to research that later on, unless you want to tell me in the comments if this piece of track that crosses the cross city line is electrified. This runs off towards the West Coast Main Line. Does it? No, runs off here, so I don't know if that's electrified. But what we want is this. I'm going to have to delete all of this. Right, okay, so it goes under that line anyway to about there. So far so good. Next thing is we're going to have to raise this terrain up to about this height, and then we want a bit of a curve. Hopefully this is high enough. Don't think it's going to be high enough, right? Maybe a little tiny bit more higher. That should be high enough for our little bit of a tunnel, which is, come on, generate a tunnel. Right, okay, maybe a little bit higher tunnel. Yeah, this tunnel can actually get away with being straight, but I don't think the tunnel wants to be that long. Maybe a little bit shorter, something like that, and actually curving towards there. And yeah, I think I'll take that actually. It's just a nice little interesting feature that I think should be replicated. And then actually Sutton Coldfield Station doesn't look particularly interesting, so we'll just go with that 120. Yes, obviously it's a curved state, well not obviously, but it is a curved station. If I just chuck that on there, let's go to configure King's Cross. Where are you? You're there. Where are the steps? Right, okie dokie, so I need to do it the other way. So if I chuck in the passenger building, I'll show you why that was important any minute now. Configure, just to get these steps in facing the right way, like that. No, like that. Good. I'm going to have to delete that little bit of track though, won't I? In order to get... Now the station does look quite... It's not that interesting, like I said, but it does look quite modern. I know this kind of arrangement is probably a little bit too modern. It doesn't look quite like that, although I can't really see what it is. King's Cross, what am I doing? Track, that's what I'm looking for, but I think it's about the closest we're going to get to it. Back to King's Cross segments, bit of platform, and that's pretty much it done. And then obviously we need the steps on the other side, or the escalators with the lifts, and then just maybe chuck a ticket machine there, bench there, just to give it a little bit of interest, and then the roof. Yeah, maybe a little bit like that, possibly with a little bit of that on that side there, and that's pretty much it. And then we want to configure this, and then we'll go with, it does actually look like it has an old brick building on one side, so passenger building, but I think we'll have to go with this again, this one, and just have that on the very end like so. I think that's about as close as we're going to get. It's not quite like that, I don't think, but yeah, that's about as close as we're going to get for that. Tamworth sidings, Sutton Coldfield, like so. And I think, what did I want to do? I think just on the approach, we'll go to assets, we'll go to retaining walls, and we'll go with this one, brick, 20 meters, 12.9. Oh, we need a bit of track first of all. That'll help, wouldn't it? Right, get you connected back up, back to you, and then we'll just have a little bit of retaining wall, retaining wall collision off, and we'll just have 2 bits of retaining wall, maybe not touching the station though. And then I think I might just on this side just kind of bake it a little bit, bring that down. Some of these like the turrets on top of the walls, I just don't really like those turrets, to be honest. I know I could probably use the other retaining wall assets that I've got, but this is the most straightforward to use. So a little bit of a wall there, and then round here I won't go into any super, well, I never do any detailing, but any super decoration, but just hide this little corner here with some trees. And then can I just bring the terrain up? I can actually, but what I want to be doing is, yes, actually, because this passenger building's raised up on, like, well, it's just raised up, but obviously we can't quite replicate that, unfortunately, so we're just going to have a little bit of road and then a bit of a corner, just skimming the top. Actually, no. Right, okay, bring this road up tiny smidge. Yeah, because it literally just skims the top of that tunnel portal. That's something. Let's just skim the very top of that. I mean, it doesn't matter a great deal, and it does make a little bit of an ugliness going on there, but can I hide some of that with some of my favourite, which is the hazel? I can to a certain extent, and hopefully you shouldn't really be able to see much of this anyway from the train. If you're down here, you can see a little bit of it. There is a way to move the camera, and I've completely forgotten what that way is. No, it doesn't matter. It's not the end of the world anyway. Right, just put a bit of tree in there just to hide any ugliness. Something a bit like that. It shouldn't be too bad. If you're in the train, you might see a little bit of ugliness, but then you go straight to the tunnel anyway, so it kind of gives you a little bit of an idea of that. And obviously I'm going to do the same for that side, so that's all fine. And then we need to try and get this track curving round 70. I'm guessing about 70. How fast can 323s go? Are they 100 miles per hour capable? Probably are, but they'd be slowing down to come into the station anyway, so we don't really need to worry. But we've got 2 of the stations, and obviously we need to just connect this track up. 2 of the stations connected up on the cross city line. Obviously there's plenty of stations in between there, between Lichfield and Sutton Coldfield, but obviously with the scale of the map we can't have all of the stations in all of the time. I might add some later on just to spice things up a bit, make things look a little bit more interesting. I think for now that should get us started, and we've actually built Lichfield as well, place, so some passengers should use this route. Obviously I've got to do a lot of work with the smoothing gun to make that look nice and attractive. Lots of smoothing along here. But actually, I think we got quite a bit done. I think Cross City Line, what's it going to take? 3 episodes to get most of it done down to Redditch and Bromsgrove. Obviously, we've got New Street already in. We've got this junction here already in. We've got this place here. Good description. Aston. Probably will build Aston because it seems to be an important junction. It seems to be quite a big bottleneck, if I'm honest, looking at the way the tracks are. But yeah, I think we've got plenty done. No train though, but I will just leave you with some of the ugliness that's going on. But obviously I'll be doing a lot of fixing off camera. Like I said, save files should be either on Steam, if Steam's let me this time, or on my Google Drive with a link in the comments below, in the description below. But I'm going to leave it there for today. Say until next time, bye bye.